Hello, 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 everybody. We are going to be starting here in a minute. So get your drinks ready, get whatever you need ready, and we will get going here in a minute. Let me know in the chat how your weekend has been and if it's been anything like mine. I'm not going to tell you what my weekend's been like yet. That'll be that'll be coming up. That'll be coming up. Where is my cup of coffee? It's around here somewhere. Hang on. Oh, here it is. I just put my hand in it. As you do. Okay. Let's get this showgram on the road. Hello, everybody. Well, today is the last day for the Seasons of the Muse crowdfunding campaign. If we don't hit the goal, I'm going to extend it. And then we will kind of trick some stuff out and see what we can get to. Just like the last crowdfunding campaign I did, I distinctly remember me saying I will never do another crowdfunding campaign. I don't know if that's the case, but I think I'm done with Indiegogo. It just does not have the reach that, say, Kickstarter or even freaking GoFundMe does. So, yeah, so there's that. Or people are just tired of my poetry, which I can't believe. So, but usually, what happens when you're doing a crowdfunding campaign is that because there's time to do it, what ends up happening is people are planning on doing it and they see the different tiers. And a lot of times people want to do the higher tiers and they're like, okay, well, let me see how things are going towards the end of the month, or let me see how things are going, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, that's kind of how it is. Because, like, out of all the campaigns I've done, there was only one where somebody swooped in on the last day and paid for everything. I mean, not everything. We were like, I think $700 shy on the Fingering the Mundane, and somebody came in and did the 700 for it. So yeah, so that's how that goes. This might be my last big book for a while, just because of how difficult this has been. And one of the things that, I mean, kind of sucks from a production standpoint is I have a lot of books, like big books, that I want to put out. And this is kind of showing me maybe just doing the chapbooks for a little bit might be a better way to go. And I should have like my printer and everything set up and ready to go this week. So I don't know if that's something I'm going to be rushing off to do. But it is something to think about. The other thing to do would be to just do Amazon with stuff and Um, I don't know. Like I don't like how poetry looks on ebooks. um, so that's always been kind of a thing, and I guess I could just do print on demand on Amazon and not do the ebooks, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that. Um, I'm not uh, I'm not a huge fan of that, but and then too, the other thing that makes it kind of less than for me, I guess, would be the limited runs and the signed and numbered copies and all that stuff. That seems to be one of the things that people dig about getting my stuff. And so doing that like that, you kind of lose that. And I mean, if that's not a big deal to people, then that's fine, I guess. And we can just continue to go about business like that. But that's what's going on with Seasons of the Muse. Let's take a look at it. There's 13 hours left. Six wonderful people have decided to help out on this. Um, and we're still pretty far away from the goal. Um, but that's how these things work. Um, but yeah, so if this doesn't like at least get like halfway, I would think I'm gonna extend it today. So that's the plan. That's what's going on. But yeah, so that's the Seasons of the Muse update. Let me see what's going on over here. Okay. So there's actually quite a few things I wanted to talk about. And some of you know that I do like coaching and like mentorship as far as like getting you writing, getting you doing your thing, getting you creating, and all that. Doing book launches, things of that nature. And one of the people I've been, Jimmy, what's up, man? How you doing? One of the things that I've been doing with the coaching that has come up, and it's kind of a strange thing, and I feel like there's a part where it's difficult for me to talk about as a man. Because one of the things that I always talk about is that when you're creating art of any kind, whether you're writing or painting or whatever, if you're creating art, while you're creating it, it's yours. But once it's done, it doesn't belong to you anymore, and it belongs to the people who are going to consume that art. And one of the things about that that seems to be a bit of a trepidation for people is being judged for the art they make. And the thing I've always said to people is that, like you can't worry about that. Like if you fear judgment for the things that you create, then you're not ready and you need to work on you before you could think about putting your art out into the world. Like if you fear judgment and all that stuff, create all you want. You don't have to put anything out. You know what I'm saying? But the thing that came up was I was talking with a woman who is worried about this. And she's like, you don't understand what it's like to be a woman and have like people judge you differently. People come at you differently. People not only like complain about the things you talk about, but like if you write about anything like sexual or romantic, like people start calling you a whore. And if you like have any, if you're writing about something and anything you write about makes you look like a strong person, people will call you a bitch and all this other stuff. And I know that this isn't extremely universal, but I know it does happen. And you'd have to be living in a weird bubble that you never like understood like misogyny or just like mean girl attitude, like to think that that doesn't happen. And then the other thing was like your looks. Like even if you're just like writing stuff and putting stuff out there, if you are going to be the face of your work, um, your beauty, your body, your clothes, your makeup, your hair, all of this stuff immediately comes into the fray. Now, I know there's a lot of women out there who write and who do stuff who don't worry about that kind of stuff because it's just like, well, it is what it is. People talk shit, whatever. And that is true. And the idea of you being able to let that stuff roll off your back is the thing that makes being an artist something that you can do. But when the criticism and stuff like that you're worried about ends up really having nothing to do with your art itself, but about you as a person, that's when you have to really like look at yourself and try to figure out where does this stem from, like, and how to like work on that. Because I could sit here and tell you until I'm blue in the face that you just have to trust your art and trust the audience to like appreciate your art. But if you are worried about these external factors that have to do with that kind of stuff, like there's nothing I can say to make you feel better. Like you have to feel better. You have to like be happy enough with yourself. You need to have the confidence in yourself to be able to do this stuff. And one of the like not questions but the things that was brought up was that she was saying, like I feel like when I'm growing as a person, I can't really create because if I start creating, I'm just like down here. And so I need to either create and be okay with where I am or grow and then create later. And the problem I see with that is that creating and personal and spiritual growth typically go hand in hand. When you are creating well, you're actually growing as a person. You're growing spiritually as well. You're growing inside. And a lot of personal growth, like it kind of goes with the growth of your creativity and the growth of your output. Um, if you ever get to a point where that's not the case and you're growing creatively and your output is increasing, but you're feeling like more and more like shit, there's a good possibility that the stuff you're creating is going to be tainted and tangled up in that shit. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, then that's when we all need to understand that we need a rest because going into creating anything is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's supposed to make you feel a release. It's supposed to make you feel good. And if your growth makes you feel like shit, that's not growing. You know what I'm saying? So I just thought it was a really super interesting conversation that I had. And I wish I could like share more of it with you, but that would be kind of letting people know. But I do have another coaching call with someone else today at 1:30. Um, but I guess this kind of goes into the coaching program that I wanted to do. I wanted to start in September, doing like a 3 month coaching bit, like where I take like a few people and go like hardcore, like from beginning to end with them through a project kind of thing. So I think if anyone's interested in doing that, if you can email me at ihatemattwall@gmail.com and tell me what your project is and what you want to work on, that would be good. And then if it's something that I feel like I could help you with, like we'll figure out a way to set that up. If it's something that I don't feel like I could help you with, I will try to find you somebody who could. But for the most part, if you're just looking to create, um, I'm pretty confident I could help you out with that. But a lot of what that's going to be, it'll be like a weekly group call and then a weekly one-on-one call and then like daily check-ins kind of thing. So if that's something that you feel like you're interested in, hit me up. And even if you don't have an exact project in mind, but you want to do something, like try to articulate like what you're feeling and where you're at. And if it's something where I feel like I could come in and help you start something, then we can do that too. But I can only do probably 5 people. And if this ends up going well and it's something that like people resonate with, then I'll do it again and like try to expand it. But I just don't think I can do. Whoa. I just don't think I could do a bunch of people, especially starting kind of like a new like venture with you guys to see how it's gonna work. But anyway, so that's what's going on with that. On the art front, I made the deadline for it was Friday, and I find out on the 19th. But there's a show, an exhibition down in San Diego. I already forgot where it is. That's not good. But I submitted a couple paintings, and they're two of my biggest paintings. So that's really exciting for me. The Etu painting, if you are familiar with it, and the Tirana painting. So I'm crossing my fingers that those get accepted because that would be awesome. Oh, and then another thing too. The show that I was going to have in January got moved to May. So obviously, since that's a little further downstream, we won't really be spending that much time on it until we get closer to that. But it's a solo show, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be wild. Knowing that it's not until May makes me think I might be doing a different thing because originally I was gonna either do like the Black Sand stuff, the Mad World stuff, or the Forest Through the Trees stuff, because like I mean it's still 6 months away, and I'm like maybe I don't know if I would start a new series in between now and then. But now that it's pushed back till May, I might start something completely new. Because that'll give me plenty of time to like build up a pretty decent series. So that would be kind of cool. Um, so that's that. And then the last thing really to talk about is Black Star, like updates on the show. And there are quite a bit of updates. One is I'm going to find out tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day for finding shit out, but I have I will have a fifth of the budget locked in, so that's really cool. And then I'm also going to hear if I'm going to have the rest of the budget locked in with one investor. So that's amazing because if I get both of them on and have the entire like first season budget ready to go, then we are like off to the races. Like as far as like booking the locations, making sure I could hire everybody and doing all the shit. And originally we were going to start shooting in October, but I might be able to push the shoot up to September, which would be awesome because that would give us more time to promote and do all of the stuff and start building the fan base and the lore and all that other shit, because I'm pretty sure like the main hub is going to be on YouTube for the time being. Not this channel. I'd start a new channel for it. But the other thing that's really interesting about it is that there are three distributors for the content that we're going to be doing, that I'm going to be talking to and finding out more about. And that's why I haven't kind of said like where this is going to be seen, because like at the end of the day, right now I don't know. But I know that wherever it ends up, I will be able to do some kind of social media stuff. So it's safe to say that having a YouTube channel and probably a Facebook, which I don't want to have, but the thing with Facebook, and if you guys know about this, you know about this, but the thing with Facebook is the first person, and it kind of is like no matter who owns the copyright, and the reason why I say it like that is because it seems like people have problems with this that I know. But the first person to post something on Facebook is the person who owns the copyright to it. So if I post a video and then you guys post it on your Facebook page or start like a Facebook page or group or whatever and post my content there, and that's a monetized Facebook page, if I post that same thing or parts of that same thing on Facebook, I get asked to take it down for copyright reasons. So that is a really stupid thing that Facebook does, but it's what Facebook does. So probably having some sort of Facebook something will have to be done for that purpose alone, which is annoying because like I'm not gonna sugarcoat this, I'm not a huge fan of the platform. So there's gonna have to be a Facebook thing, and I might even use the old Black Star Canyon Facebook group. That might be a wise thing to do, so maybe I'll do that. But anyway, the other thing that I'm actually, do I open the beer or do I finish my coffee? the the other thing I'm going back and forth with in my head is on Monday I'm supposed to hear from the casting director who I kind of gripped onto this to see what kind of people they could come up with. And so I'm really excited about that, just having like a new crop of actors. There are quite a few actors from when I was doing more film stuff before that either have reached out to me once they heard I was doing this again, or that I reached out to wanting to bring them in. And it's funny too, because like a couple of them, like I just really want to work with again because I like them as people, but their characters don't show up until like the third season kind of thing. So I'm trying to like get them to commit for a long time away from now. So that makes me think I should probably write all the scripts for all the seasons beforehand. Because again, there's 25 seasons, and and that's just based off of the novels that already exist. And then there's going to be, if we continue to go that far, then there's going to be like this kind of standalone season that's very different than the rest, and then a new season that could go on forever. So it's I'm really excited about all of it. It's so much fun doing Black Star again. It just really, really is. Like I feel like, and maybe you guys all can take a little hint from this. Black Star was how my writing career outside of film and music started. Not started, but like took off. And the thing about Black Star that I liked that was so cool was that as I was putting it together and doing it, there were a lot of things that I wanted to do. And like in retrospect, looking back on it, what I should have done is all of the other books I wrote, all the other things I did, I should have weaved it into Black Star and gave it like a Black Star flair instead of like doing a season of Black Star and then writing the Gavel, or doing a season of Black Star and then doing the Zombie Zero books, or doing Black Star and then doing the Shallow Shallow books. If I would have kept all of that stuff in the same world, and I feel like that would have worked way better, because the what I noticed was that the people who were really invested in Black Star were not really into the other stuff I was doing. And then the people who were into the other stuff I was doing, some of them came into Black Star, like when Black Star would start up again. But most people, like once they latch onto a series, that's what they want. They don't want the other thing. And I think what most writers do when they're doing a series, they just write that series until the series is dead, and then they move on to the next thing. And I was going all over the place. But that's kind of how I am. I mean, I'm sitting here talking about a poetry book, a TV show, paintings. Like, I'm a fucking mess. So, but yeah. So if you, because like series books work, it's easy to get your audience to keep going into a series if the series is like popping and stuff like that. So if you ever have another story idea, you're like, ooh, I want to do this like standalone thing. Don't do a standalone novel. Just take that standalone idea and give it to a character in your series that you already have. And that could either be the main plot for a novel in the series, or it could be a subplot for one of the smaller characters, just so you have something to go back and forth to. it enriches the story, it makes it a bigger thing, you know. Um, it's just, I think the way the world works right now, it's kind of the best way to do it. And I don't think um, storytelling, as far as publication of stuff, has changed that much in the last 10 years to where that doesn't ring true anymore. And so the best way to do that, especially for those of you who um, are writing in different genres, and like you're writing in fantasy and you're doing all this stuff, whatever world you're writing in, you better really like that world. And so typically, what I would say to anyone is make the main world you're writing in as close to your own as possible. But if you are doing things that are more fantastical and stuff like that, leave doorways open to where you could still tell those same stories in this world. Because for those of you who don't remember, when I first started writing Black Star, it was supposed to be like the whole thing was gonna, like, most of the characters were like demons and shit, and it took place in hell. And it was like just a really hard story to tell. You know what I'm saying? And then it wasn't until I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna set this in this like weird place, like 20 minutes down the road that everyone thinks is haunted. I'll just I'll just do it there instead. And then it just like was super easy to write. And as soon as I made all the characters just like normal human flawed assholes, um, the story just wrote itself, really. Mindy, hello, how are you doing? Let's see here. So yeah, so that is the advice I could give you. Write what you know, write where you live, write what you have, and then explode from there. Um, and I mean, even if you're doing something really fantastical, like you can have elements of like 700 years ago, the ancestors of this person, blah, 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 blah. If you're going to get into it that deep. Kind of what I was doing with Black Star is that, like, there are some characters that are doing stuff that's like kind of like a police procedural. And then there's other characters that their purpose in the story is like kind of like a romance kind of thing. And then there's other characters that um, have really horrific things happen to them. And then there's other characters that that have like this whole like sci-fi arc going on, but it all is in the same town. And so um, to me, it was really easy to genre hop and do all the stuff I wanted to do and just give it that Black Star icing, the which is just like this whole thing's kind of weird. And just don't explain too much. Like, as far as I'm concerned, when writing stuff like that, the more you explain, the more you try to like explain the things that are happening, the more you lose your audience. Because one of the reasons why people like to keep reading or keep watching is when they don't know, because now their curiosity is piqued and they're like trying to figure it out in their head, and they all probably have better ideas than you do. So like, if they think, oh, I bet this is like this, I bet that's what's going on, let them think that, because now they think they're smarter than the show, and so it makes them feel good to watch it, even though they're still, or read it, even though they're still like trying to like solve the mystery, but in their head they think they already know what's going on. So once that happens, you got to keep that going for as long as you can, because if you ever tell them and it's not what they thought, and it's not as good as what they thought, they're going to be pissed off, and then you lost them forever. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a weird little psychology thing. Um, but yeah, there's plenty of instances where history tells us that that's also the case, where a show or a book series was doing really, really well before they revealed something. And then once they reveal it, like, it tanks. So you just got to um, keep those things as it is in the dark as possible without pissing people off, because I think there is a way to do it to where you go too far with it. You gotta read the room, guys. Read the room. I know I'm probably speaking in super vague terms right now, but oh man. But yeah, so I think that's all the Black Star news. Unless it's lost. Well, that's another. Um, the problem with Lost is, and we've talked about this before, Lost lost a lot of its viewers when they started like tying up loose ends that weren't necessarily loose ends, and then there were some kind of big loose ends that like the fans were really into, and then the writers just came out and said, well, like, we actually didn't know what we were going to do with that, and so we were just kind of making stuff up that seemed really weird, but like, yeah, we had no idea what that was going to be, so we just kind of forgot about it. So that whole thing is never ever 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 show a situation, show something that's weird and strange, that's going to be a mystery that you have to solve, and then pretend it never happened. Worse, go out publicly and say, oh, yeah, like, I was just fucking around. I have no idea what that is. They waited until the very last moment and collapsed under fan anger. Totally. Like, I remember how pissed off everybody was at that, dude. The other thing about Lost that was kind of interesting was, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a writer's strike around the time that show was on. And there was another show, and I'll say the name of it in a second here. There was another show that was doing so well and had so much like hype, and there was just so much like, what the fuck is happening? Oh my god. Da, 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 da. And then the writer's strike happened, and they had less episodes that season, and then for whatever reason they tried to do stuff or fix stuff like during that period, and it totally killed the show. And that show was called Heroes. I don't know if you remember that show, but it was really good, and then it wasn't. Lost, I watched the whole way through. um, I did really like it, but at the same time I felt really let down by a lot of it. Towards the, I think the first three seasons of Lost is probably some of the best storytelling on TV that there's ever been. Um, but yeah, as far as like a weird show goes, but personally, my favorites would be the first season and a half of Twin Peaks, and then some moments in the rest of the second season. Um, and then Pines was really good. I don't know if you guys remember Pines, the based on the Wayward Pines novels. I wish that would have been able to go farther. Um, But then there was this show, not the remake that AMC did, but there was a show called The Prisoner from way back in the day. And the canon episodes of The Prisoner were amazing. The non-canon episodes, like, kind of see, that's the whole thing. Before Twin Peaks, a lot of shows, and even after Twin Peaks, it wasn't until probably The Sopranos where I guess prestige television came into play. But what shows used to do, and for those of you who still watch the X Files, oh, and Fringe is another good like um, way to do this. But you basically had and Columbo was like this too, to an extent. Um, but like you had your main canon, your main arc episodes. So if you got picked up for like 22 episodes a season, you would have maybe 8 to 10 episodes that told an ongoing story. And then the rest of the episodes were kind of like Monster of the Week episodes. And I don't know where that saying came from. That would be actually a really interesting thing to figure out. Monster of the Week. I wonder if that came from like the Batman animated show or like the Hulk or something. But like the Monster of the Week was like you would have some show that takes you on a case or whatever, and then maybe there would be like one little line at the end of the show that would like tie into the canon, but the actual episode itself wasn't really necessary. It was just filler to fill the episode order from the network. But I feel like Twin Peaks broke away from that model. And there were other shows that came, like X Files is probably, unless it was the Munsters, that's so funny. But X Files was such a huge one because when X Files got good and there was like the ongoing arc, then they would have all these Monster of the Week episodes. And some of the Monster of the Week episodes were solid episodes and like better than most of the arc shit. But I remember when I was watching X Files regularly when it was coming on, if it wasn't an episode about like the cigarette smoking man or the aliens or whatever, I was like, fuck, why am I watching this? I would be so pissed. But and then X Files even got a movie in mid season, which was awesome. Fringe was really good, but the fifth season could have been 2 or 3 seasons, but at least we got an ending. Yeah, Fringe was awesome. Heroes failed when it should have succeeded. Yeah, Heroes was great. Fringe was really, really good. X Files was good. And then they brought it back, right? I didn't watch any of that. But there's a bunch of shows that like the Black Cancer arc was awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw the movies in theaters too. Yeah. Um, that was really good. And then The Sopranos happened, and then that changed everything. That completely changed TV. And it's really bizarre, actually, because when you think about it, so much of it was done kind of the same way Twin Peaks does it, which was also kind of the way that soap operas do stuff. X Files was brought back for a limited series, but I haven't seen them yet. Yeah, and Twin Peaks had that run on Showtime, The Return, and I didn't really like it. I did like a lot of the things it tied up, but that was again one of those things where when you have 25 years in between seasons, that's 25 years of people fantasy booking the show of what would happen when it comes back. And how it ended up coming back, I feel like there was a lot of things that people were like, oh yeah, like I would have probably done that too. Like, yeah, I could see that. But there was so much of it that was not what people wanted. And that made it really hard. And the other thing about it that made it a little tricky, I don't want to say it was super masturbatory, but there was a lot of stuff that they could have probably not had on there and not lost anything. Boardwalk Empire was really good. Um, Carnival was fucking amazing, and that's another show that didn't get the proper ending. Oh, Carnival was awesome. I don't know if you guys saw that, but that one was really good. And that show kind of had Monster of the Week vibes, but the overarching story was continuous through the show, which was good. But because it was like about a traveling carnival and the preacher trying to find it, like this, like we're just waiting for this collision of these two forces. God, that was a really good show. Fucking hell. I kind of forgot all about it. Maybe I should go back and watch that. I really dug that show. That was really good. Oh my god. Um, but like Breaking Bad was really good, obviously. Mad Men was really good. Um, the actors could have had. Oh my god, totally. A lot of like, I mean, Michael J. Anderson, I think is his name, from Twin Peaks was in it. Um, Clea Duvall was in it. I can't remember the main guy's name, but the guy, oh my god, I'm so stupid. The guy who plays Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob is in it. I actually sat in a waiting room with him at Nickelodeon Studios waiting for a meeting one day. That was kind of fun. But Diane Salinger, who was also in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, and I worked with her on, was that Charlie's movie? Yeah, I worked with her on First Period. She's awesome, and she's in that. Yeah, Clancy Brown. That's that dude. What was the main guy's name? Nick something? The guy that kind of looks like a scared little mouse. I don't know, but if you like, it's getting really windy here. I don't know if you could hear me over it. But there was another show in the UK that was kind of superhero y. Oh my god. Kind of like a superhero show, but it was like a comedy at the same time, called Misfits. It used to be on Hulu. I don't know. But that show had a pretty cool arc to it that was kind of fun. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we got way off track here. But yeah. But a lot of the ways those super intriguing. The look of that show was just fucking awesome. Oh, I love the look of that show. But anyway, so what a lot of people don't like either understand or know or even thought about was that a lot of times when you have those Monster of the Week episodes, those are episodes that a lot of times people write for other things, and the studio will have those scripts, um, and then they'll go, oh, let's just put Mulder and Scully in this, and now it's an X Files episode, or like a writer from the writer's room or whatever will be like, you know what? I kind of had this like script idea for an episode of Lost, but I think it'll work on this show too. Let's try to see if we could get this one made on this show. So all of those like Monster of the Week episodes are never written by anybody who has the story of what's supposed to happen on a show in mind. Like the main writers might come in and put like a little like breadcrumbs for what's supposed to happen later in on it. But a lot of times that's all extra shit. So it's sometimes you get some good ones and sometimes you get some fucking stupid ones. And most shows that have the Monster of the Week thing fall flat. But there's a huge group of people who love the X-Files Monster of the Week episodes more than the actual storylines. I remember back in the day of message boards getting into arguments with people about shit like that when I was a fucking mark. Anywho. But anyway, so that's what's going on. So again, Seasons of the Muse. This is the last day of the original whatever for the campaign. If you were going to contribute and support the campaign, now is the day to do it. Because there's probably only like 12 hours left now, right? Let me check. I haven't refreshed the page, so it might still, I don't know what the fuck it is. But that's what's going on. I remember watching the X-Files episode that got banned. How did it get banned? I remember hearing about that more than actual knowing about what the fuck it was. There was some other show where an episode got banned. You know what show I want to try to find that I haven't seen since it was on? Oh, fuck, what was it called? It was either called Wild Palms or Wild Orchid, but Oliver Stone did it. And it was kind of around the same time as Twin Peaks. I think it was Wild Orchids. I think. I have a fly that is very small. I would like to watch that again. I would also like to watch Northern Exposure again. I remember I tried watching that when it was on originally, and I didn't like it. It was grotesque. There was a woman with no limbs, and these guys did stuff, and she didn't want to be saved. Ugh. Yeah. That sounds like that Boxing Helena movie, which is a good movie. I should watch that again. If I cut off your arms and I cut off your legs, would you still love me anyway? Northern Exposure was good. And then there was that other show, not at all like Northern Exposure, but China Beach, that was a big deal when that was on. Dude, this is crazy. I'm having all of these like 1989 flashbacks. Oh my god. I could probably go through like the entire prime time lineup for like 89 and 90. Fuck. Man. So interesting. I wonder what Northern, if you could watch Northern Exposure. I just remember there was a girl on China Beach that kind of resembled a girl on Twin Peaks. But I think she might have been on Northern Exposure as well. I don't know. Like, there's too many thoughts running through my head right now. Things are weird. Things are very strange. Okay, guys. This was a really fun talk. Again, if you want to do that coaching thing, the 3-month coaching thing, send me an email to ihatemountwall@gmail.com telling me what you're wanting to work on or kind of what you're thinking about. And we'll talk about that. So it would be a 3-month intensive um, coaching mentorship thing to where we get you going and help you through a project. I think your knowledge of all those successful and failed shows could really help you design Black Star to be a fantastic project. I fucking hope so. There's got to be some reason why I have retained um, the ridiculous knowledge that I have over all of these years. There's a part of me because I think everything happens for a reason, and I feel like all of the things I've done all my life, all of the things I've worked on, all the things I've consumed over the course of everything has to be for a reason, and it has to culminate somewhere. And when I first wrote Black Star, I wrote it as a TV pilot. When the Kindle Gold Rush happened, I turned it into a book series. And then from there, I've had producer after producer try to make the show and have it not happen. I had one producer try to make it into a movie, and that didn't happen. So doing it this way, I really feel like this is like what it's supposed to end up being. And I don't know if I'm going to finish writing the books. I might just finish doing the show. But all the books I wanted to write after the fact, I never did. So maybe this will be a good kick in the keister to get that moving. I don't know. We'll see. So again, down at the bottom here, igg.me/@/seasons of the muse. Help me reach the goal. Help the people who backed it so far reach the goal so we could get this show rolling and we could do other stuff. This is like a very powerful and scary book of poetry. So definitely get in that. And we will talk about the novel next week because obviously with all the Black Star stuff happening and me having to write a season script, I didn't work on the novel this week. So I'm about 20,000 words into it now and had to pump the brakes on that. Boom. Type hard, guys. And I guess I will talk to you guys soon. So I'll talk to you later.